Hello guys, my name is Johnny. Welcome to Performing Arts. I'm going to be showing you how to edit your tracks on a software called Audacity. Now it's a really simple software to use. It's free for both PC and Mac. It's very simple. I'm going to show you and it's not going to take too long, and it's going to turn some of your music edits from sounding quite amateur, and some of the tools in here we're going to be able to make it sound very professional. So let's have a look at what Audacity looks at so far. We've got it open. So this is the blank page when you open up Audacity, and we've got over here, let's just go over some of the tools we've got available on the home screen. So we've got the transport options up here, your pause, your play, your stop, and record buttons. This section is very useful, especially these first two tools. The selection tool, if you hover over it, also tells what it is, but your selection tool and your envelope tool. So this one is going to be your primary icon. It's for your highlighting regions, grabbing some stuff, making your fade in and fade outs, and if you're wanting to change your volume of certain sections, this envelope tool is going to be also very useful. Now this section, you'll see when we actually bring in an audio file, these will then become active. So they're grayed out right now, but as soon as we bring in some audio, those will become active. And we've got our zoom in and outs. We've also got these buttons which will mute certain sections if we wanted to keep certain bits of our track and mute other bits. That's going to become useful. We've got our undo and redo buttons, and we've got zoom in and out of our tracks as well. We've also got audio setup, just in case some of you guys, if you're using maybe an interface. I'm not using one today, but sometimes if you're using even Teams, for example, it will pop up in this menu here. But let's just start with bringing in a track. So I'm just going to drag in my first music track. So I can just drag and drop on here and place it in here. If I click play, it will play. Now some of the useful tools I just want to go over really quickly is if we want to adjust the global volume of this track, on this left hand pane here we've got mute, solo, we've even got some effects, but just keep it really simple. We've got the pan left and right, but we've got also the volume for this overall track that I can adjust here. The next thing I want to show you guys is if you want to zoom in and out, remember the tools that we've got for zooming in and out. I've got them up here. So if I click zoom in and out, I can do that here. On my trackpad, I've got a MacBook Pro. I can also use my 2-finger pinch thing and just pinch outwards and it will scroll for me. Now with this selection tool highlighted, I'm just going to click here right before this drop, the music changes here, and it's going to put in a black line for me. Now when that black line is going to symbolize, okay, do you want something to happen there? And I do. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go up here to my edit tab, go over to my audio clips, and I'm going to click split, because what I want to happen is I don't want this to carry on over there. What I am going to do is double click on this whole region and it's going to highlight the rest of that track for me. Now I have a few options. I can either delete it and get rid, so I've just pressed the delete button, or if I undo that, I've just pressed Apple Z to undo. But if you can also use this button which is on the top here, I'll undo. I can also use this envelope tool which I mentioned earlier, and as I hover over the waveform here, I can bring the volume down of that waveform and have it muted. So let's leave it muted for now. I'm going to go back to my selection tool, and what I'm going to do now is bring in another track. Again, I can drag and drop, place it in this empty space, and it's going to drop it on a new track for me. Now can you see how my icon changes as I hover over the top of this whole region, and it changes to a hand? That now means I can grab this file and I can move it, which is a great feature because we're able to move sound objects to wherever we want them. Now I could, if I wanted to, just have one track end and then another track start. So it will play. Let's get a bit closer towards the end. it will play, and then the next one will play. Now that would be cool, but if we want to turn something quite from simple to being quite professional, we're going to start to crossfade some stuff in. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to, just over the last bit, and that last bit of audio ends there, and we've got a new bit of audio starts down here. What we can do is highlight the end of this bit, and we can go over to effect, and I'm going to go down to fading, and I'm going to click my fade out, and then over the intro of this one I'm going to go do the same thing, but instead of fade out I'm going to click fade in. So now I've created a kind of crossfade, so as one thing ends, I wish you live, other things starting. Now this is also a great tool if we need to cut certain things. So if I scroll in even finer onto this, and let's say I needed to make my cut there because they'd finished saying the phrase I wanted in my track, or it changed into something else that I didn't want, and I've made the split there. I'm going to do a shortcut and press Apple I, and it's going to split my audio for me there. Sometimes we also may get a pop or a clipping sound as we've cut a piece of audio. So let's say I've deleted it there, and I get, if I play this now, I may get a little clip sound as it ends. Now a professional way to clean that up is if I just go right on to the end, I can clean that up by putting a fade out on the end of that piece of audio where I've cut it right on the end, and it removes that clipping sort of popping sound right at the end of my audio. I'm just going to undo all that, just go back. So now I've got my two pieces of music crossfaded, and remember that this song is a lot louder than this song. If I wanted to boost it, I have these global controls on the left side of the track, where if I need to boost, cut it down, I can do. Alright, so there's a couple more things I just want to show you guys, and one of these is a tool called the silence audio selection. So if I just zoom into this part of the track here, and let's say I want to keep this track, but there's a section in there I don't want to use, and I want to put something over there, what I can do is highlight this portion of the track, and then all these tools become available to me. Okay, what do you want to do with that selected highlighted part? And I'm going to click this, and it's going to mute that section for me. And then what I can do now is bring in another piece of audio, which if I drag and drop this into some empty space down there, it's going to do that for me. I can hit this solo button, just so I don't have to listen to the rest of what's going on in my arrangement page. I can just hear what is happening on this track. Click play.
So when you go to sleep and you try to go to sleep, you interfere with the spontaneous process of going to sleep.
Okay, I know I want that section, and what I can do again with this selection tool, I'm going to click, highlight this bit, and now I'm going to use this other button, and now I'm going to use this other tool, which is the trim audio outside of the selection. So I just want this bit, and it's only going to, the bit that I've highlighted is only going to trim that bit and get rid of everything else. I'm going to hover over the top of it, where my tool then changes to a hand, drag, and fit it in this section here. I'm just going to zoom in a bit more. Now I can go back to here. I can see that my audio is still playing before the audio drops. So what I can do is click here, so my cursor comes up and I'll get this black line. I can then go over to edit, split that track, hover over the top of it, it's where my icon changes, and it's going to come back in just as my audio, my voiceover bit finishes. Come back out of solo mode. Now there's one more thing I want to bring back in. If you see here, what I'm going to do is make some more room. If I move to the bottom of this track, see how my icon changes. I can just resize this. I can resize that one as well. Let's just resize it. I'm going to bring in one more piece of audio, this emotional. So underneath, what I've got here is a motivational speech, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some music underneath it, place my black cursor. I'm going to do the shortcut, which is Apple I, get rid of that. I only want it to be as long as a motivational piece, so I'm going to do again, split that, and I'm going to zoom in. Now as this motivational piece is playing, my music's way too loud, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down the volume of my motivational track. Let's bring it right down. I only want it to be background. Let that play in the background.
So when you go to sleep and you try to go to sleep,
we can see here like it starts just before my audio, so I'm just going to, as I move to the top of the region, we can see how again my icon changes. I'm just going to use that just to bring it closer in, and I'm going to highlight this section. I'm going to go to my effects. I'm going to fade that in just so it's a more smoother transition. I'm going to go from here. So we can hear here also in this audio that abrupt stop there just sounds a little bit messy. So what we can do again is highlight that section there, go to effect, fade out, just so it's a little bit more smoother.
So when you go to sleep and you try to go to sleep,
makes that
you
transition a
interfere
lot
with
more
the
smoother.
spontaneous process.
So those fade in and fade out
breathe,
transitions,
real hard,
can turn something very simple,
breathing,
which sounds quite amateur, into something quite professional. We've got a smooth transition. It's not harsh in here. Nothing's abrupt unless you want an abrupt change. So I've got my motivational speech. I've got some atmospheric music just playing in the background. Let's just listen to what the transition is like over here.
You don't try.
So again, I can fade out the end, highlight this, fade out, and then just on the intro of this, when my music comes back in, let's go here, I can fade this back in using my fade in tool, fade in, bring it closer.
Happen healthily only if you don't try.
Very smooth. So I've just shortened these tracks here just so I can see a bit more on the screen. And what we're going to do, I'm going to show you how you could record your own voiceover. So if we go over to tracks, we click add new, mono tracks, it's only going to be our voice. Now on here, if we go over to our audio setup, and we've got our recording device, I'm just going to use my built-in microphone on my laptop. And with this track selected, so we can see it's selected because this one's blue, the rest of them are grey, so I'm definitely on this track here. I can then click a space in here, unless I wanted it to be at the start, where I want to start my recording from, and I'm just going to hit record. So I'm going to show you how you can record your own voiceover. First thing I'm going to do is open up a new track. This way it gives me more control over just that voiceover track in case I put it onto a different track. So I'm going to show you how you can record your own voiceover and add it to an arrangement that you may. So I'm going to show you how to record your own voice if you wanted to use it as a voiceover or a part of your music track. I'm going to go over to tracks. I'm going to add a new stereo track, and it's going to drop it at the bottom of our page, as we can see here. And we can know it's selected as we've got it in blue and there's a yellow line around this box. And I'm going to click on my audio setup just to go over to my recording devices, and I'm just going to use my built-in microphone on my laptop for now. But if you had a USB microphone plugged in, or if you had an audio interface, it will be in this list here. So I'm going to click there and I'm going to click record, and we're going to use this as a test. And I can scroll in here, and as you can see, as I'm speaking, my voice is being recorded. We can click stop, and then I can move this around. And put it anywhere in our music track. And we're going to use this as a test. And I can scroll in here, and as you can see, as I'm speaking, it's always a bit weird hearing your own voice. But these are some great tools. So Audacity, it's really easy to use, very simple, it's quick, and it's free to download, guys. So just before we go, we can save our project, but most importantly, we can also export it as an MP3 or WAV. If we just click on this, it comes up with as a default preset. We've got the Extreme 220 to 260 kbps, which is more than perfect for any sort of performance, or if you wanted to stream it. We can change that by clicking on the drop down menu. If you needed a higher quality, we can go up to 320. Joint stereo is fine. We click save. It's going to tell us that it's going to bounce down all these separate tracks that we've got into one stereo track, which is what we want. We're going to click OK on that. And then if you wanted to add in some of these fields, if you need to put in your name, or if you got the track from somebody else, or from a source, or you've been working with someone, you can input their details here. We can click OK. It's going to bounce that out, and there you'll have your file. Alright guys, so that's Audacity. I hope it's been useful, and look forward to giving you some more tutorials in the future.